This is the talk of Music City Real Estate.
Welcome back to another episode of the Talk of Music City Real Estate,
where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
My name is Monte Mohr with Realty One Group Music City.
Hey, and I'm CareyAnn with CMG Financial and my mortgage team.
Every week we'll be posting a new episode chock full of Nashville real estate value.
Yes, and you can follow along and subscribe at talkmusiccity.com.
Got a question for us? Ask away at questions@talkmusiccity.com.
Monty!
CareyAnn, so good to see your smile today.
Good to see you.
We have a special guest with us today
We
that's
do.
going to be something that everybody needs to pay attention to in the real estate world. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Wes Poole.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome back. It's
So,
been a while.
Warranty Wes is the rumor. Warranty Wes.
It's more like a legend.
A legend. I mean, I'm sorry. Way bigger than a rumor.
Yeah, it started as a whisper, went to a rumor. Now it's a legend.
It's a legend.
How many years have you been involved with warranty companies? A long time, it seems like.
About 10 years now. I've been chasing after real estate agents for about 10 years.
Yeah.
Some of them run faster than others, but I've caught many of them over the years for sure. So
Let me ask you this, Wes.
That's what I'm talking about.
Let me put you on the spot. Is there anybody in Middle Tennessee that is actively involved in warranty companies? Because I know there's a lot for people to pick from out there that's been in the industry as long as you have.
Only one.
Only one.
Emily Daniel.
Okay.
Yeah.
She and I have a great relationship. I mean, we're competitors,
She's a
but
true
we've
talent
always loved
too.
each other. Yeah, she's amazing. But other than that, no, I cannot name another one.
Because a lot of them come from out of state, right? And they kind of
They do.
migrate in.
Yeah, which would be quite a task to be a local rep and live in another city or another state.
Yeah, that doesn't do anything for me because here's what I do know after being in this business 4 decades is that the local representation of that home warranty, it's make or break as far as I'm concerned. If there's not a local person who's been in the business for a while, understands how it all works, has a great relationship with realtors, responds to that realtor's call, responds to that homeowner's call, if you don't have that, then you're probably with the wrong warranty company, I'm guessing.
I absolutely agree with that. Just like with any business, not just home warranties, things happen. Things come up. You know that in your business. You need to have an advocate for you. Rather than just calling the mothership and hoping to speak to their leader. You need to have somebody to go to bat for the homeowner, for the clients, but as well as the agents. And that's kind of why we're here. We're literally physically in a real estate office right now.
Right.
That happens every day.
And actually do what the warranty says that you're going to do. That's kind of a big deal too. I've learned over the years.
I would have been out of the business a long time ago if we didn't do that.
Right.
Would have burned a lot of bridges, I feel like, over the years. So
I will say this, I'm probably the most cynical realtor in town when it comes to home warranty companies. So thank you for joining us today. You walked in with at your own risk. But I will also say in combination of that is that 2 weeks ago, after hearing about your product, this old guy bought his client the top line warranty. Is that true or not?
You sure did. And for being cynical,
out of my pocket.
Myself and my company, we must be doing something right for you to now have me on the podcast, but then also on the spot in person, you and I were having a meeting about home warranties, but not about you getting a home warranty.
No, I think I kind of caught you off guard because I sincerely was asking questions that we're going to either make it or break it from the level of endorsing you as a company, as a broker, but also to a point where I'm willing to come out of my own pocket and say, you know what, Wes, I'd like to do this for my clients that I'm closing on tomorrow, because what you shared with me, I think, is valuable comfort and confidence and backup because they're new to the area, don't have a circle and so forth. So anyway, let's get into.
Well, Monty, even better than that. That's not how you did it. You said, "Let me give you a story to tell your manager." Sign me up right now, which I thought was great, which I did share with my manager.
Well, that part is absolutely true as well. But there was a lot of in my own mind because again the cynicism had to be overcome with what I perceive value and confidence in the messenger. You hear me say over and over again, people have to believe the messenger before the message ever matters.
So true.
It doesn't matter. I trust you first.
Right.
Okay. So let me put you on the spot for our company. I trust you first, Wes. I know you're going to do a great job for our company. I know you're going to do a great job for America's Preferred, and I know you're going to do a great job for all the other agents here in Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, for many of the folks that know Wes, I mean, you and I have known each other for a long time, and we have been chasing the same clientele, right, for a while. But you have a great reputation, right? And so no matter what, people know that you're going to align yourself with a team and or a company, that makes the most sense, and you transitioned back into warranties just recently. For those people that you knew you and I on the last podcast were here with a different company, right? But again, knowing that you make those decisions for the right reasons, that's key, right? Your heart was probably always in warranties, kind of got you right back into it.
Yeah, and the main point about being in it a long time is the number of relationships that I've developed over that period of time. That is my database. That is my business. That is my income. It's these agents who I've developed these relationships with. So talking about following through with what you say you're going to do. And there's so many parallels. We do different things, but essentially we do the same thing, right?
All three of us.
Yeah, all three of us. You're
it takes a village, right? It's all for the same outcome,
yes.
A happy homeowner.
Being advocates for that client, right? And, wanting them to be a happy homeowner, really. So
and set them up for success when it comes to finance, and also finding the perfect home and then protecting that home across the board.
So Wes, let me put you on the spot here again. Okay.
Keep doing that.
Is it a different spot now? Or
no, it's the same spot.
You got to move. Yes.
Same spot.
No, but seriously, you have been in the business a long time. You represented another company for years. There are a lot of choices when it comes to somebody with your qualifications and confidence in the real estate community. Okay, you have a lot of choices. Can you tell us why America's Preferred was the company that you chose to connect your reputation with? Okay, because again, there's a lot of them out there, a whole bunch of them. Some of their names are amazing, and I won't mention any of them. But the point is, it's a pretty popular industry apparently, because there's so many choices out there.
Right.
Over the years, the main ones out there, I won't mention any names, but I've only had not good experiences with. It's why I become as cynical as I have been on the topic, because when we know insurance is something we have to have, but we also know that the quality or the integrity of that insurance company is going to back up their product, or they're going to end up going away because their reputation will eventually catch up with them. You have risked your reputation that is well known here in Middle Tennessee as Warranty Wes. You have risked that with a company called America's Preferred. Why them and not somebody else?
That's a great question, and the timing of this question is funny because with my previous home warranty company, which I will never say a bad word about, I love them. They were a work family, and the training that they provided was amazing. So that's kind of the foundation that I'm standing on now. But my connection to America's Preferred, really my first introduction when it came to potentially working for the company, was a previous coworker of mine at that other company. And when I talk about timing, I was literally in the parking lot before I walked in here talking to this guy. He's a good friend of mine. We trust each other. Going back to trust, you were saying earlier, it's me that you're working with. It's America's Preferred, but it's me.
Yeah.
Right? It's CareyAnn, right? But he just gave me a glowing review of it. He had joined the company a couple years ago, and he just loved it. And he had so many good things to say about it. From a culture standpoint, that's always important, but leadership was one of the big things. And
so you believe the messenger
yes.
in order to believe the message.
Yes.
But then you went in further to look at the message, broke it down.
He is the only reason that I even decided to even start interviewing. As a salesperson, if you're on LinkedIn, you get job offers every day. And most of them are just vapor, and you don't even want to read them, right? And maybe there's some good opportunities that you're missing, who knows? But for the most part, industries need salespeople, proven salespeople. He's the one who made me say, okay, I'm not just going to ignore this. I'm going to move forward with it. And then I was able to talk to my first conversation there was with one of the VPs, a guy named Luke, great guy. Love Luke. And had himself been a very, very successful home warranty salesperson. He had higher numbers than I've ever heard, but he's been out of it for a while. But to where they had to split his territory into multiple territories because one person couldn't handle it anymore. Wow. He was getting so much business. But after my conversation with him, and And really, so the people were the first thing. I think that the next thing and what makes us unique, at least in my experience, and believe me, I've had to study competitors. There's some great companies out there. We're not the only great company. But it's the fact that we are not just a home warranty. There's all these other, I guess you'd say, supplementary services that we provide in addition to just covering the systems and appliances in a house. You want me to name some of those things? Or
I'd like to know the differentiating factors so people can compare. And guys, again, we're speaking to a real estate community here. It's become more and more important that you do, I don't want to say insulate, but you do encourage buyers and sellers to look at the home warranty options really closely, because there's some extenuating circumstances that can help not defend you, but insulate you somewhat, or not, if you choose not to have a home warranty company. So make sure when you're making that decision, you're making one with a good. So let's talk about the differences. I think that's really, really important.
Yeah, and real quick, talking about the importance of the home warranty, I yesterday, in this business, you read a lot of articles about real estate, what's going on, what's coming around the bend, all that stuff, interest rates. Talk about that ad nauseum.
Different day.
I'm sure. Yeah, right.
Although they improved today, so that was a good day.
That's good. Everybody likes that. But I read an article yesterday, and it wasn't a brand new article. It was about this time last year that the article came out talking about new homeowners being surveyed, and it was kind of astounding. And people out there, don't take this as me, trying to discourage you to purchase a home. It's a good thing to purchase a home. But of this survey, 82% of home buyers had regrets purchasing the home, and the number one reason was the cost of maintenance and system failures, appliance failures. Obviously, from a financial standpoint, it's a great decision to purchase a house, right? Great investment. We hope everybody does it, but you want to be happy in that house, right? And especially in the first year of home ownership, you don't have as much money in the bank as you did yesterday, right? The money's in the house, which is a lot harder to access, right? If your AC goes down, for example. After the first year, maybe you've recouped some of those savings and you're a little more able, a little more comfortable. But, from an agent standpoint, I think it's important for them to think about post-closing with their client. How was their experience with that home? Successful agents want repeat and referral business. I mean, that is the ultimate goal, for incoming calls rather than the outgoing calls, right? And, I think a home warranty is a good way of improving their experience of home ownership. When it comes to supplementary things that we provide, obviously at our core, we're a home warranty company, so the acronym that I think you could use is PEACH. I don't know if you've ever heard this. Have you ever heard this? Yeah, eat a peach. Anybody like the Allman Brothers?
I am a peach.
You are a peach, yeah. So PEACH, plumbing, electric, appliances, cooling, and heating. Okay?
You like a good, what's it called?
Peach cobbler.
Yeah, you like
Acronym.
that. You like that. You like a good acronym. Yeah.
Good acronym, yeah. That's for you agents out there who don't necessarily maybe are not comfortable speaking about home warranties with your clients. I feel like that's one of the reasons a lot of agents don't mention it to their clients. They just don't feel educated enough or, like an expert in that area. I think that's a very easy thing for them to do. And then if the client asks more questions, let me connect you with your local rep.
So you're saying that all the things that represent within the peach are represented in a home warranty?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. If any of those items fail, which they're going to.
So repeat again. Plumbing.
Electric.
Appliance. Coolant.
Cooling
and heating.
Heating. There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
But you guys go way beyond that.
We go way beyond that. We could add a bunch of other letters to that acronym. But so we also include standard septic coverage, roof coverage, the sewer line, and things like that. But, the traditional appliances is, are typically the things that the people are most worried about. But outside of that, we also provide identity theft coverage, which is pretty awesome, up to $1 million. Which, is a completely different industry.
I'd never heard of that before with a warranty company.
Right. And so
I got scammed today.
Oh,
You just never know. You got to be protected.
Have the calls been increasing? Have y'all noticed that, the spam calls?
Yeah.
The lady said, do you have AT&T and Direct TV in your house, don't you? And I could have easily said yes. And I was like, I'd like to know the reason for your call. And she's like, AT&T. Like, she made some weird noise. And I was like, what were you going to try to get from me?
Was it a real person?
Well, yeah, she sang. She was weird. Yeah. It was strange. It turned strange very quickly.
They can sing.
But you just never know. They just never know what's happening on the backside. Or what about the emails? I don't know if you guys realize there's real estate emails. I don't know if it's happened to you guys yet or not, but like Monte would send me an email. So I look like it's from Monte. So I open it up and it's like a dot loop, deal. And I go in there and then something snags on my information. Yeah. But I'm more likely to open it. And then what happens is now you're going to get one from CareyAnn because you're part of my friend list. So it keeps going and going. So yeah, identity theft is key. So keep going. What else you got for me?
Quick funny story about identity theft. You hear about this happening to people a lot, and it's more and more common. And you believe it, but I don't know anybody. My brother had it happen to him recently.
Oh goodness!
Somebody bought it was I think it was a Maserati using his credit. And my brother's telling me this story on the phone. He's like, "Man, you won't believe what happened to me." And I'm thinking it's going to be some awful story where he's ruined now and they stole all his money.
Yeah.
So not to make light of the fact that there are people who do get ruined with this, and it really derails their life. But the police were able to find the Maserati, return it to the dealership. The dealership fully refunded the money, and my brother's credit shot up 50 points.
I bet it did.
Because he paid off a $300,000 car in like 2 months.
Yeah.
Wow. That's the only positive story I've ever heard about identity theft.
Me too.
Wow.
We were dying laughing on the phone together. But yeah, so identity theft is one thing. Another thing is title protection. If there's any, post-closing.
There's more of that going on out there too.
A lot of that going on as well. And then when it comes specifically to the agent, a really cool thing that we do, I think, is that my biggest challenge with my job is creating habits with real estate agents. I want to be on their checklist, right? With every buyer, with every seller. There are certain things that they do that they have to do with every buyer and every seller. I want to be a bullet point on those checklists. Right. So,
I need to be added too. Go ahead and put me on there too.
You do too? Yeah. That's all right.
While you're getting them to add me too.
I'll give you a shout out. So we have a waiver within our home warranty.
Okay.
And if an agent gets that signed.
This is really important, guys. Hope everybody's paying attention. Take some notes.
Right. So this is the way that we have come up with creating habits with agents, I guess.
Okay.
Not every transaction is going to include a home warranty. We understand that. We all know that, right? But if an agent, let's say they're representing a buyer, and you know that you're not going to be asking that seller to provide a home warranty, to encourage that agent to still talk about the home warranty with that buyer and give them the opportunity to protect themselves rather than not saying anything, which I think is essentially making a decision for the client. If they don't say anything about it, they're deciding that the client said no. Right. But if they get this waiver signed, even if the client does not end up purchasing the home warranty, as a thank you for that agent giving us a chance, giving us an at-bat, if there's an E&O claim after closing, errors and omissions, for those of you out there who might not know that, we will cover 75% of that agent's deductible up to $3,750.
Wow.
For free.
Yeah.
Now, obviously...
That's just for having the conversation and marking a box.
Simple conversation. That's it. And the waiver is simply proof that you had that conversation. That's all that is. And we have an online version.
In a litigious world, that's a big deal.
Right. And obviously nobody wants to have an E&O claim, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully you're working with a realtor that, checking all the boxes, crossing the T's, dotting the I's and everything, being very careful. But things happen. It happens. It does. I mean, Monte, you've been a managing broker for a long time. I'm sure you have had to deal with some of that, right?
It's a numbers thing. If you turn over enough rocks, you're going to find a nutball who wants to take advantage of you because of whatever. I think I have had at least 5 suits filed against me where I had to tap into my insurance.
Really?
At least 5.
Yeah.
None of them my fault.
Right.
Except the fact that I am a realtor. And because realtors have to have insurance, and insurance companies don't like to fight, they like to settle. So I hope everybody's paying attention to the value that you're extending there just by having that conversation.
Right. So if you ever experience that bad day of having an E&O claim come up, hope we can make the day a little better, right? At least, from a financial standpoint.
It's still going to be painful, but not as.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it's important for any real estate agent to at least share with somebody about a home warranty and let that individual make the decision if they want to ask the seller to pay for it, right?
Exactly.
And or have them individually pay for it. This is probably a good time to talk about the difference between, insurance, right, and home warranty.
Yeah.
Insurance is important. We're required in the state of Tennessee to have it. And there's some amazing insurance agencies out there. But I quickly learned as a first-time home buyer that you don't use your insurance as often as you should, meaning what I thought I was going to, I'll just call my insurance and that'll be covered. I'll call my insurance. Where when you do that, all of a sudden your insurance goes skyrocket, right?
If they don't, let you go,
right?
Fire you,
right? Yeah, because you have so
nowadays.
many, so many claims, right? Type of thing. So having somebody that is going to assist, on those minor items, that are not so minor. Like right now, a dishwasher's gone. I'm not doing dishes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to figure out how to get that squared away. But little appliances, if they go, or your fridge, right, goes out. And I don't know what it covers and all the things, but even, you said heating and cooling. I mean, I could appreciate the Tennessee heat. Right, and if you lose your air conditioning, that's a big deal.
AC units in Tennessee are some of the hardest working things out there, right?
And a lot of people, I don't know if we check the age of that. I don't know if that's
we're supposed to.
Yeah,
the
a
home
normal
inspector
thing.
does. The home inspector does,
Yeah.
and they say expected or life expect towards the end of their expected life and all that. Not just with HVAC, they do that with water heaters and other things as well. But yeah, so the homeowners insurance, I do think is, a pretty common knowledge. Most people know what that is, right? It's for, fire, theft, flood, acts of God, right? So if somebody were to steal your AC unit, for example, that would be a homeowner's insurance claim, right? But if your AC stops working one day, and you call your insurance company, they're going to say, "So what? Good luck, man." That's not why we're here, right?
I might say it a little nicer, but yeah.
Well, it depends on who you talk to, I guess. But yeah, so that is not the function of insurance, of homeowners insurance. That is the function of a home warranty. If any of these kitchen appliances, water heater, heating and air, plumbing, electric, if any of these things fail, you just have to pay a small deductible, and then we come out there and a contractor comes out there, and we take that financial burden away from that client. So I look at it as insurance and warranties completely covering the home rather than just halfway covering the home.
You said a really important thing. I hope everybody remembers this, is by not talking about a home warranty, you've basically made, as the agent, you have made the decision for the client, whether it be seller or buyer. You've made that decision then because you didn't bring it up to them. They don't do this every day. We do. And so we really need to make sure we're incorporating this whole topic in our conversations with them. And I love the fact that you have now incentivized us to do so by covering a portion of, hopefully it never happens to you, but if you turn over enough, it could. And so I'm going to say, because I had some shocking situations happen to me that I thought these were my friends. What are they suing me for?
Right.
Or there's some out of the, some crazy stuff in our litigious society. But so I love that. I love that because it helps. It incentivizes all of us to create a new habit. The new habit is make sure you have the conversation.
Yeah. So let's say something does go wrong. Do you have a list of contractors that you send out there, or how does that work?
So
no, I love this part.
Yeah, so different companies handle that in different ways. Some companies have in-network contractors, so plumbers, electricians, HVAC companies, handymen, whoever, who they have partnerships with, and they've agreed upon pricing.
More. No offense to anybody, but there's more handymen than actual contractors because they seem to go, in my experience, go with the cheapest person who's willing to do those kind of things. And then oftentimes not get paid for a long time. And that's part of it, the problem as well.
Exactly. And 9 out of 10, maybe 9.5 out of 10 problems that happen with home warranties always goes back to the contractor. There's something going on with the contractor. You wouldn't believe some of the stories I could tell are not maybe appropriate. What is this? The rating of this podcast is this R-rated?
It's for realtor.
Yeah.
Then I can. No,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. But that is, the root of the problem almost every time. So with us, we feel like if somebody is going to be entering your home and working on your property, let's use the water heater, for example, we feel like you should have a say in who that person is, right? So we allow homeowners to choose their own contractor, just as long as they're licensed, right? They have to be a legit contractor. It can't be your, cousin's 13-year-old nephew that thinks they can tinker with a dishwasher or whatever, right? And obviously you would want a professional in your house. So a lot of people, maybe they've been using a company for years, and they love this plumber, they love this electrician, they know them by name. They can do that. It's totally fine. Maybe they want to reach out to their real estate agent. Maybe that's a good communication and value.
Part of your value, guys. Part of your value is having a vendor list that can be trusted.
Yep. Post-closing value for the agent. That's a great conversation. Oh, you're looking for a plumber? Oh, that's I know. I've got the best guy, right? That's great.
Right.
So, or if you don't know somebody, obviously you can get online and look up the different Google reviews and whatever else. But the point is it's your choice who's coming into your home to work on these items.
As the consumer, not the realtor, but the realtor might help make that decision, but you're not being sent somebody just because they're the cheapest one that filled out the app.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. The other way of doing things is, hey, you have to use our contractor, and that contractor working with home warranty companies, it's kind of a balance because they have agreed to getting paid less per job with that home warranty company. But the idea is volume, right? They think they're going to get a lot more leads and work, right? But that can be really frustrating. You're getting paid less and you're stretched thinner and thinner as a plumber, electrician, whoever. And that's when those problems start to arise. So, most people, I feel like in whatever city or town they live in can probably name a local contractor.
Somebody they trust, right? And I think that's a win that you're bridging over. You're bridging that connection, and that trusted connection, which I think is a win for sure. So,
Wes, I know there's got to be. You guys must have data on how much does an average homeowner spend on their home on maintenance annually.
Yeah.
What are the numbers on that?
So it's kind of a wide range, but it's between 1% and 3% of the value of their home.
Wow.
So if it's a $400,000 house, let's go on the low end of that. It'd be about $4,000, which I tend to think it is on the low end of that. 3%. I mean, that definitely, if you need to get a new AC unit, that would be 3% of the value of your home. But those aren't. Getting a new AC unit doesn't happen every year, right? It happens once every, hopefully 20, 25 years, or however long. Right. But it's about 1%. So, if you just bought, what is average sales price in, where we sit right
Williamson
now?
County is up there, but
across the board here in Middle Tennessee, it's just under 500,000, probably 489, something like that across the board. Not Williamson County, but everywhere else.
Right, on average. So let's just say $500,000. Right. Expect to fork out maybe $5,000 that year, and that might not be just one big thing. It could be an aggregate of a bunch of small things, right? I'd rather keep that money in my pocket. I mean, we all recently paid our taxes, right? I have less money in my pocket today than I did
depending on when you did it, because we found out yesterday we got an extension till the 3rd.
I found that out too late.
It came out too late.
Yeah, it came out too late for a lot of people. But it's peace of mind. Just like homeowners insurance, you're glad you have it when the time comes that you need it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But if you don't have it, that's kind of a bummer, right? And unfortunately, about 2/3 of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, even if they're homeowners.
Right. So what's the cost of a warranty? We referenced, possibly the repairs or items, be around $5,000 just to do. So what's the cost to save that funds?
So every home warranty, first of all, the pricing that I'm mentioning right now, this is what we call the realtor pricing. Okay. So this is another benefit that realtors are providing to their clients. If the clients were just to call any old home warranty company, us or somebody else, it would be direct to consumer pricing.
Okay.
But because of their connection to this agent, and I think agents can, utilize that to show their value.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, you're gonna get a discount because you're working with me. Right. So every company has various tiers of coverage. The average cost of a home warranty nowadays for the first year, I would say is around $700-ish. Ours ranges from $499 all the way up to $825.
Okay.
The cool thing about ours, though, it can get kind of complicated when you look at all this pricing, especially if you've never, if you're not familiar with home warranties. But our $499 includes all of the major systems and appliances you would expect for every house to have, as well as, like I mentioned earlier, septic, roof, and the sewer line between the house and the street. Most other companies, specifically, those three things are add-ons. So we just make it pretty simple. $499, you're going to be covered. Those higher prices is where the things like the title protection and identity theft come into play, and some various other things that we offer. So
for a couple $100 more.
Yeah, for a couple $100 more.
And is there some sort of a coverage as well, as if they have to, let's say the air conditioner breaks or the heat breaks in the middle of the winter, that they need to stay at a hotel for a couple nights? Is there something there as well?
Yes. Yeah, we will pay for hotel stays, and obviously there's some limitations to that and everything. They're not going to be staying at the Ritz or wherever, but they can, but they'd have to pay the difference.
Nor the Motel 8 will leave the light on for you.
Yeah. Motel 6.
Oh, 6.
Motel 8, what are you talking about?
I don't know how it all works. Too funny. I don't stay it enough. All right, so we know the cost is efficient. So who can pay that? The buyer can pay it. The agent can pay it. The lender can pay it. The seller can pay it.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we don't care who pays it, right? Yeah. It doesn't matter. Traditionally, it's the seller purchasing a warranty for the buyer at closing. That's just traditionally how it's been. Hey, potential buyers, my house is listed. Buy my house instead of the comp down the street. And if you do, I will provide you with a home warranty.
Sure.
All else being equal between those two houses, that might be the edge that
that peace of mind is, there's a value to that.
Right.
A lot of peace of mind.
They're going to get the offer before that other house, right? So it became like a selling point. Now, there are definitely agents who buy it as closing gifts, which is great. That's awesome.
So I did.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, the appreciation that these guys shared with me was well worth that investment. Well worth it, because they're new to the area, don't know anybody, little intimidated by the new prices here in Middle Tennessee and all this kind of stuff. And they were buying a 12 or 15-year-old home, I forget now, but there was a lot of appreciation in that gesture. A lot.
Well, I don't know if they know this, but if you're listening out there, those specific clients, Monte did not go with the $499. He went with the higher coverage, just so you know.
Yeah, so you got the full package.
And my rationale was simply, for a couple $100 more, I don't want them to hear, well, I'm sorry, that's not covered.
Yeah.
And they still could, because it's not going to rebuild the house for them.
Sure.
But I wanted, if we're going to do it, let's do it right. They're cool people. And anyhow, I wanted to make sure things were covered. One thing I want to talk about before we run out of time here, Wes, is, I've shared with our agents over the years that a hard lesson that I found out, several years ago, was on new construction, is the topic now, is that builder warranty is only as good as the builder. And that was shocking to me. I'd sold a pretty nice home, all brick, in Murfreesboro, and about 6 months later, the people came to me and said, Monty, something's weird's happening to the brick of our home. And so I went over and looked at it. Well, it turned out, with some investigation, that the person that was mixing the mud for the bricklayer had not put the right mixture in, and every time a hard rain hit the side of the house, the mortar was melting from the joints.
That is crazy.
And I said, don't worry about it. they have to provide a 1-year home warranty. And in my simple mind, I'm thinking that there's some sort of a collaborative effort from all builders are putting into a fund. So if there's a problem, that kind of thing, everybody's covered, since it's a law that a builder be required to provide a 1-year warranty for their product. It only made sense to me. I met with our attorney at the time, and he said, sorry to say this, Monte, but the warranty is only as good as the builder. I thought, oh crap, well, surely he's really a nice guy. I'm sure he's going to, cover this, because we'd gotten an estimate by then. It was going to be about $25,000 to take care of this problem. And anyhow, we went to him with a letter of demand, and he laughed and said, well, good luck. I don't have anything for you to come after. And that was like such an eye-opening shock that I have recommended ever since then. I've recommended to our company agents that anytime you're selling something that's not being backed up by a larger builder, make sure that you go ahead and get invest the money in a warranty from a large corporation like America's Preferred that will help cover that and give you some peace of mind just in case. And I don't know if they would cover that brick either. I don't know, that kind of scenario. But the point is the principle that everybody needs to know that warranty from a new construction is only as good as that builder is. And you may think that builder is sweet as pie, but they may just be building house to house and not have anything to fall back on.
And that also goes back, in a weird way, this just occurred to me, choose your own contractor. That means general contractor as well, right? So you want to be sure they've got a good reputation. You've vetted them. They provide a quality product. I actually personally bought a new construction house in the Nations area of Nashville in 2020, and I called my builder, I think it was 5 times in that first year. One of the times, the most notable of them, the sewer line was cracked, and it was under my driveway. I called them. By noon the next day, they had come out there, backhoed my driveway, fixed the pipe, filled it back up, re-cemented the driveway, and it was done by noon the next day.
That's a good builder.
Asked me if I was impressed. It was amazing.
That was a good builder.
My dad was a builder growing up, so I actually have a respect for that profession. But yes, Monte, the way, could you imagine walking outside and the front of your house is bleeding mortar?
Melting.
Melting? Yeah. Did you make this out of crayons or something? But the way that it is supposed to work is, yes, the builder's responsible for that first year, because I think you should stand behind your product, right?
Yeah.
Just like if you buy a brand new car and things start breaking, there's a warranty with that, right? After that first year, they don't have to do anything, really, But some of the good ones, and again, in a way to make their home stand out in a competitive market, will offer additional coverage on their warranty. So, which is something that we also provide. So everything we talked about before this has been for resale homes. This is for new homes, new builds. We will cover that home structurally, so that the foundation and the bones of the house for 10 years.
Wow.
The average structural claim is $50,000 to $60,000.
Wow.
That's a big payout, right? The last thing you want is that builder for that home that you sold 5, 6, 7 years ago that you've forgotten about and moved on, and you get a call saying, hey, you got to fix this foundation. That's a bad day for the builder, right? We take that call instead if the builder is offering this. And again, it becomes a competitive advantage for them. In addition to that, after that first year of coverage, they can add an additional 3 years of coverage for all the systems and appliances. Because typically, a new build, they're going to be brand new appliances that have their own manufacturer warranty that are going to last a year. Some of them last longer than that, but let's just say a year. Once that warranty stops, we pick up for an additional 3 years. So it all goes back to improving the experience of home ownership with these clients. One last thing I'll say about the builder coverage. The unique thing that we do is other companies in that space, the builder, the structural coverage, base the price of the warranty based on the sales price of the home. Okay. So if the builder has budgeted for, X amount of dollars on that line item for this home for the warranty, and then throughout the construction process, maybe they upgrade the countertops or put nicer light fixtures or a privacy fence or anything nicer, that price is going up, right? The total price of the home as well as that warranty price. With us, it's going to stay the same because we base our price on square footage of the home. unless they mid-construction decide to add another couple bedrooms, which that just doesn't really happen, right? But it's based on square footage. That also allows these builders to budget accurately in different markets. Like you mentioned, Williamson County is going to be a different price point than other counties, right? So it enables them to, be consistent with their pricing. And honestly, y'all, typically the builder just builds that into the sales price anyway.
Right. They do.
So
Wes, how can our listeners, our viewers, get a hold of Warranty Wes? What's the best connection there?
Well, again, it's America's preferred home warranty. You can email me at wpoole, that's WPOOLE at APHW.com, or you can call me at 615-970-8267. And I'm sorry, I usually just give people my personal number, but that was my work cell, so I got my card out here. So
that works.
If you don't mind, Wes, and we'll wrap this up here real quick, but do you mind, just one more time, we're talking about creating new habits here.
Right.
Yes.
And so if somebody has the conversation with the buyer at the buyer appointment or the listing appointment, and they decide to or not to get a warranty, by having that conversation, having them sign off on that document, that agent now is covered up to how much for any claims?
Their deductible.
Their deductible
is covered 75% of their deductible up to $3,750.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a 30-second conversation with your clients, y'all.
30 seconds to save that kind of
That's
money.
huge.
To say peach.
And I'm telling you guys, the last time I was sued or attempted to be, it was over I claimed a 2-car garage, and they said it wasn't a 2-car garage because they couldn't get their van in the garage. And they came back a year later. And my argument with the mediator was, there is no standard for a 2-car. It has to be this size and this size. They lived in the house for a month before they closed it. My argument was, if they win this case, now suddenly people are going to sue because my master bedroom doesn't fit, or my master bed doesn't, or my dining room table doesn't fit, because there is no standard for it. It is what it is. If there's a question about whether or not but anyhow, the point is, I laughed when that notice came to me. And when I had to contact my company, attorney or company, I asked the attorney, who is stupid enough? What attorney is stupid enough to take a case like that? I mean, I thought this was ridiculous. And he said, Monte, you forgot one important thing. Turn around. I turned around. He goes, see that big dollar sign on your back? And no, I don't see it. Well, everybody else does, okay? Because I said earlier, insurance companies, no offense, we have to have them, and I'm grateful for them.
Oh, I see.
But they don't like to fight. They like to settle. And what does that do to a litigious society? It puts that target that looks like a big dollar sign on your back, so you're being scrutinized. Folks, if you heard nothing else today, is why we're repeating this. By having the conversation, you have somebody helping back you up in that initial experience, the cost of that initial experience. So that's a big deal. To me, that's enough to change a habit. And I'm telling you, from 41 years of experience, if you work this long enough with enough people, especially in today's society, somebody's going to not like something you did and make a claim potentially. I hope not. I pray not. But if there is, I want a larger company helping me with those initial expenses.
Yeah. Successful real estate agents don't get up in the morning and say, what am I going to do today? Yeah. No, they have systems and processes that they stick to. Good habits. This is a good habit.
And the worst thing a seller can ever say is no. So, you can always talk to a lender, cool. To navigate through that, or give it as a gift. But it sounds like it is a huge win, and it will be an added benefit definitely for your buyer. So thank you so much
Wes,
for being with
us
today. Good to see you again. And thank you everybody for joining us. You've been listening to the Talk of Music City Real Estate.